Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Astrology and Beyond. Today, with your host Tatiana, also broadcasting for ANN Archetypal News Network. And I am back. I took a little break because it's the summer and I was in Japan, which was absolutely amazing. But I honestly did not find the time um, to be able to connect when you're traveling is kind of really crazy, but I hope uh, I can catch up to what's been going on astrologically and give you some really good insights for what's to come because there is in the upcoming 2 weeks there's going to be some major energies that are going to be starting to shift, especially by the new moon in Leo. There's something that's going to start manifesting in life that I think that we have to pay a lot of attention to this new moon in Leo for several reasons, and really more having to do with larger cycles that are really initiating, which they're not really new cycles per se. We've been already in this massive shift. It's been happening, but now we're gonna find uh the the squeeze, let's say the expansion and the squeeze all at the same time. So we gotta be prepared. So let's dive in. The important things that I wanted to talk about is that we will be having a conjunction of Mars and Jupiter in the sign of Gemini. And what this means is that there could be so much enthusiasm. Jupiter, it's the planet of immense expansion. So everything that it's optimism, it's expansion, is like everything just goes big. And Mars is the fuel, is the will, is the action. We just go. So it's like the energy of like, I'm the king of the world. I can do it all. It's so big. And then there's like this feeling that there's energy for absolutely everything, which is great because it means that we have a lot of trust and confidence in our own capacity to act and do and think. Now, it's Gemini. So this is where it could be great, but it also could be something we can trip in. We can trip ourselves because Gemini tends to be a sign that is so interested in so many things that the energy scatters. It just scatters. So expanding can mean, oh my gosh, I want to do this and then that project over there, and I'm gonna do this one, I'm gonna finish that one, and I see the whole picture from now until the next 20 years, and I can do it all, and I have all this energy, and then I have 3 million ideas, not one, 3 million. And the energy can be so big that maybe just starts being overwhelming. And as much as we can be very enthusiastic, what happens with Jupiter is that optimism is great because we do want to keep in a high vibration, really aligning with what is true for us, and with what makes us feel again in a state of joy, expansion, and action. It's a fantastic energy, but we need to be really careful where we are putting our energy. Focusing the lens in less things but more practical and more methodical is better at this time than trying 300 different things or believing that that amazing thing that's new plus that one equals life is all resolved and is great, and things just will happen on their own because I just trust that something's gonna magically land on my lap, and that's great. Yes and no. And why yes and no? Because Saturn, our dear friend Saturn, is going to be entering in a square with this configuration. And a square is none other than an aspect of tension where, okay, yes, let's inflate your balloon. You want to expand your balloon as much as possible, but Saturn says at some point, if you're not careful, that balloon will pop. And Saturn, what it does, it puts that balloon in a little box, and so you're just blowing, but the balloon can't expand because Saturn is making sure it doesn't expand beyond its capacity to actually deliver. So what can happen? The feeling that this might bring for us is frustration, because we have all these ideas and dreams, and yes, it's going to work out, it's going to work out, it's going to be fine. But then we might feel that there's hurdles, difficulties, and maybe more, reality checks, things where we need to be more realistic about, like what is actually physically possible, or on another note, what we can also commit to, because Saturn is also the planet of commitment, and it's the planet that promotes the long-term results with slow and steady discipline. And in Pisces, we've seen, I've talked about this multiple times. In Pisces, there is something about spirit first, the discipline that we need to take with our own mental states, because the connection to everything that is can be so big. Ideas can be flooding, the veil can be very thin, and and we need to learn to discipline the mind and to also have spiritual practices in order to channel all the energies that might be all around, which is the whole psyche. And I'm not only talking about the psyche, the other realms, all of that. I'm also talking about things that we humans create, and that in more mundane terms, uh the Jupiter in Gemini will be expanding everything having to do with communications, like quantum computing, communications, AI. It could go like fast, big, more, bigger, more, faster, more chat GPTs, more things, more chats, more information, more, just until you can't hold it. And it's like having 10 balls of a lot of data that is unmanageable, and then so what Saturn is asking at this time, and lo and behold, Saturn will be going in and out of this square with Jupiter until June of 2025. So this is not just something that's going to be something passing. The things we want to create and the ideas, because Gemini will bring us, Jupiter in Gemini brings a lot of ideas for progress, especially in communications, especially in the way we create networks, especially in the way we do trades, exchanges, So there might be massive new changes and ideas that are phenomenal, and then action. But what happens when we're not carefully planning or structuring something? This is where Saturn comes in. All those frustrations that maybe we have a great idea, we're not implement it right away. Yesterday we're gonna implement it, but we did not test it out. We did not see if it would really work or not, and then we roll it out, and then suddenly it's a huge mess. You know, that can happen, and it's funny because it makes me think about when Google first launched their Gemini AI, and they were so excited, and because everybody was competing, and that was back, I think, I think it was last year, around May last year, it was the launch of ChatGPT when Pluto entered Aquarius. I remember it was the same week, and Pluto is going to be at the same degree that it was last year when that happened. So it's interesting because I remember the launch of ChatGPT that went like crazy, then followed by this race, this AI race of Google trying to do it, then all these other companies. Well, obviously Microsoft was trying with their Bing and trying to use ChatGPT, and then Google is trying to compete, and then there is Anthropic and all these companies, and then AI is just exploding, and they're raising trying their large language models, like, and then feeding. And what happened? I don't know if you remember what happened. There was so much misinformation. AIs would just make stuff up. Google rolled out their Gemini, or I don't know if it was their Gemini or another model, but anyways, I remember they had to, in their beta testing, say, well, no, sorry, because it was saying crazy things, so people were getting so excited, jumping on board. But then AI would make up a lot of stuff that's not even true, like lots of mistakes and things like that, because it was rolled out so fast and without, proper training in the subsequent months. Well, there was a little bit of more of that. However, what can happen now is that there's new bouts and bounds in these kinds of things, but there's giant leaps in maybe some massive information thing, or it could be a new kind of social media, or maybe even a new way of making money transactions. There could be some new great idea about, some new Bitcoin or some new kind of platforms that do these things, but that they're not necessarily uh properly planned out, that end up creating more problems than not. So this is just like, I'm giving you the flavor. Does it mean it has to be in that area? Not necessarily. For each person, it will show up differently, because you have in your chart, you have Jupiter in Gemini. So wherever your Gemini house is, that is the area of life where you're going to feel that you want to expand, that you have new ideas, that you want to go into action. So wherever that is in your chart, pay attention. What is that area of life? And then wherever you have Pisces in your chart, that's where Saturn is located. And this energy has been going on for a while. So you already know this energy. I've said a lot that Saturn is transiting my fourth house, and it's been a very challenging year, literally building a new home. I moved to a place that requires a lot of work, a lot of, we're literally building it up. I still don't even have proper electricity, to tell you. It's been really challenging for me. And also building up new spiritual practices, building up a sense of more grounded spirituality has been in my mind a lot, to be able to do that, in order not to fall into the depression that Saturn in Pisces can bring. Because Saturn in Pisces can also bring a lot of mental health issues. And since the pandemic, we all know, this is no secret. Mental health has been in mental health issues on the rise. So this is a time where, if we keep feeding our mind more of what's outside, instead of finding the peace that's inside, finding the grounding, finding a little bit of floor, this could lead to severe mental breakdowns. That's one thing. To if you have projects that you want to initiate, but you're not focused, you're scattered, you're going too fast, too far, too big, and also dreaming too big without really the grounded approach of how. And also, temperance is a word that always comes when we have like Saturn involved. Temperance is like, keep it realistic. You gotta also be very aware of the consequences of what you're growing. So whatever grows, which is wherever Jupiter is growing in your Gemini house, whatever is expanding in your life, how is that growing, and what are the consequences of growing too fast? It's like when a company maybe has great things and is growing so fast that they don't put in place safety measures. That's again what happened in OpenAI with the all this development of AI and ChatGPT. Like, it was growing fast, they were not putting safety measures in place, and it ended up, creating a lot of havoc. And we might see a lot of that. So if you are in the sector of information and technology, again, banking, online things, communications, any of that, I would definitely be aware of how decisions are being made in your environments, so that there is caution. That's the other word. It's temperance and caution. That doesn't mean that we do not go forward with plans, ideas, and programs. That's not what it means. When Saturn is around in the ethers, in the psychological archetypal landscape, what it wants in our psyche is to make sure that first we're really, really being responsible with what we're doing, what we're growing, and how we're expanding. and that we can make things that will be lasting for the long term. So this is not the time to patch the things like this and just, oh, I'll do a little bit here, a little bit there, patch here, patch there. This is the time to, from the ground up, do something well done. Yes, it might take a little bit longer. Yes, it might be a little bit more like, oh, I just want to do it right now, and it's not happening. But if you are more patient, more methodical, more grounded, and have a plan that's more realistic with your dreams and aspirations and new projects and ideas, chances are that that plan will be really well developed. And that is the maturity that Saturn is asking of all of us at this moment. Like, what are we growing and how fast is this growing? You know? So, I would definitely recommend all of us to look where in our charts things are expanding, and where we need to be more responsible and not get frustrated. Because with Saturn, what happens when we're not aware of the energies, we tend to get very frustrated, and frustration then leads to like depression, or or then we just drop the project. And that's not the idea. The idea is not to drop the project, is to know what is really doable and start with small scales. I know you have a great scale, a great vision. Start small. Much better at this time than to start very big and then not be able to keep it up, and then it ends up not happening, and then you get frustrated, and that's it. So these energies are going to be very, very present. And in this new moon, this is like, of course, one of the main energies that's going to be present in the new moon. And the new moon in Leo also suggests that uh the self, or your being, or whatever's moving through you, might want to also find their own self-expression. Leo wants to show, wants to shine. And this is a time where you can also plant that seed for yourself. But that seed, what are we growing? Remember, if you're growing your shiny self that is really aligned with what you truly want to do, make sure you do it really methodically. Like, I can't stress this enough. It's 1 year of this, almost 1 year of this, like, slow and steady. Do not let it pop so fast. Now, the other thing we have happening is that we at the same time, for this new moon, we're having Venus in a yod with Pluto and Neptune. So there might be a lot of relationship issues happening at this moment, where there could be power struggles and things around values, about around relationships, and maybe confusion. We might maybe um be drawn to something really exciting that looks great, but might be, get, you might get disillusioned, because Neptune might bring an idea, or maybe changes are too fast and we don't really align with our values. So maybe a change that seems amazing and is really quick, it's not aligning with what we truly value. So make sure to be open to changes and not too rigid, because Venus in Virgo can tend to be, oh, sorry, this is a Venus in Leo. So it's a 29 degree of Leo Venus. So this is the energetic degree, which might make us also be maybe probably too stubborn or too self-absorbed in what we want. And then as it transitions into Virgo, the energy might change into being like um either overly cautious or overly methodical or overly grounded or overly picky, uh and not allowing enough change. But at the same time, what we want to make sure is that in this yod, or this tension, we have a little bit of a crisis of practicality versus idealism. Um, uh, Practicality and idealism. So we need to balance the need for like a practicality, order, centering ourselves in our own energy and values, with what people want from us, with what the changes that are occurring in the world that might not align with what we want. So there might be difficulties with people. People might fall off at this time as well because we might find a lot of power struggle. So I mean, adjusting this would be like, I would say that the practical advice for this is to stay grounded. Like this whole time, staying grounded is really important. Um, Also embracing that there's things changing and shifted at a spiritual level, which is part of that little sextile between Neptune and Pluto. There's things that are changing in our world. We have to release our ego needs, our ego desires. There's something about a dissolution of the ego self as well, a transformation of society into a more maybe spiritual society where we're more caring about the earth, about others, where compassion is going to be more front and center. That's why Neptune is at that point of that little kite between Uranus, Pluto, and Neptune. I will talk much more about this in another video because it's really starting to form really strongly where there are massive changes happening, and sometimes these changes happens through through difficulty. But I think at this moment in time, people are waking up to understanding that we can't keep living the way we have been living, pillaging the earth, like having structures that really don't support life, love, and harmony. So I I would definitely think or recommend that we allow ourselves to embrace the changes that are inevitable and allow ourselves to be more connected and in tune with what's inside of us, and also the energies that are around, things that we might not really understand that might be changing even in our own psyche, and being open to the change. It's important to balance out this, like the spiritual transformation with the practical daily life, or our practical lives. I think this is why this might feel like a little bit like, oh, how am I doing life when I have, to pay bills and do things, and at the same time I want to open up to trust and to believing that there's things that I can do, but at the same time, I have to be methodical and practical and grounded. So these are the energies that are going to be playing out, and very strongly. Now, let's add to the this two next 2 weeks, Mercury retrograde. Mercury will start retrograding. And what happens when Mercury retrogrades? We need to again review things that we've done before. If you've left things undone, or things that were not completed, this is a good time to review your finances, review things, review systems, especially because Mercury is in Virgo, and Mercury in Virgo wants to understand, analyze, categorize. So this is a good time as it retrogrades through the first degrees of Virgo to go, okay, where can I improve systems, or simplify, or organize information, organize ideas. So everything is, it's like when you clean your counter, you clean a place or a desk, and then it's clean and clear so you can actually think. So Mercury will assist with that. But in the retrograde, what can happen is also we're more prone to confusion, to miscommunications. We know that's typical of Mercury retrograde, and it's going to also make square with Uranus. And when that happens, there could be so much overwhelm that's when we miss details. And Mercury in Virgo wants the detail, but Uranus goes so fast. There's so many changes. Again, it could be a change very fast implemented. You did not do it well. You didn't input the information right. There was a miscommunication. Things go wrong, things trip. So what's really important is first to not let the mind and all the ideas and all the overwhelm in the mind to get the best of you and end up in confusion, miscommunications, problems, issues, and breakdowns, because that's very possible with Mercury retrograding squaring Uranus. Look at me again. Right? So what do we do to avoid we breathe. I am very animated today. I know. I've been excited to see you again. We do what's really difficult to do during this time, which is slow the F down. How do we do the slowing down, the grounding? really slow breaths. Simple practice. Remember, I give you all the practical tools. Overwhelm, things to do, da da da. Simplify your schedule. Number one, simplify your schedule. If you had 3 million things, maybe push some for after, prioritize, and really simplify so that you can focus the more important things that you really want to see grow. Remember. So simplify one thing. And again, simplify for a whole year. Number two, if it's too much, too soon, too quick, you can't adapt to changes, is everything's is going crazy, you're starting to have issues and problems with people, slow down by slowing your breath. Deep breath in, 4 counts. 1, hold, breathe out, hold, repeat. And you do that, what, 3, 4 times? You don't even have to do it all day long. That instantly will start slowing your heart rate down. All the nervous system starts calming down. We're able to think more. And third recommendation, limit screen time, like too much scrolling, media, social media, chats, things, videos, like limit it to what is, you can handle without spending all your day on it. Uh, and obviously for grounding, we all know this. And if you don't know, now you know it. Bare feet on the ground, 5 minutes on a park, doesn't matter where, just bare feet on the ground. And then, or hugging a tree. I know tree huggers, yeah, woo woo, hippie, whatever. But tree hugging, what it does is as we connect to those beautiful beings of beautiful energy, our own energetic system and bio, you know, um, magnetic energetic system links with the tree that's connected to the ground. And like literally like a grounding cable, your own energy literally goes down with the tree. So, thanking those beautiful beings, you can always grab a tree, hold on to a tree for a minute or more if you want, and just breathe, do those slow breaths, feet on the ground. And even just doing that, even just once a week, if you don't have to do it all the time every day, but to discharge energy, it's important. Now, on the nutrition side, make sure to have enough like magnesium and minerals, because when there's so much electricity, we need to make sure we have all our electrolytes. And I gotta tell you a little story. I got terribly and massively dehydrated when I was in Japan, and I like could have died. Let's say it was that serious. Shivers, convulsions, and the whole thing. Yes, because of lack of electrolytes, even though I was drinking water. So make sure you're replenishing uh, your electrolytes, so potassium, salts, your sodium, potassium, and also other minerals like magnesium, like everything that helps conductivity, because your nervous system might be on edge. So it's really important to keep super hydrated, like a lot of water, and keeping your electrolyte balance, like help your kidneys too, So that when there's so much energy, and especially also solar flares, and we're processing energies that are also coming from the cosmos, is really, really important to keep that biological function well. And I'm telling you because really, I almost could have died, and it's serious, um, especially with heat waves and stuff like that. So hydration, electrolytes, grounding, slowing down, and limiting screen time, and limiting. That doesn't mean you don't do any of it. It just means you don't overdo it. And also, you're over optimistic, shooting, really far off the mark. It's better to have a little bit of a lesser, or maybe stage your projects more like in stages and focus. These are the things that these 15 days are going to be with the new moon in Leo, kind of like this this energy will keep growing, because every new moon is a seed, is a seed that we'll see grow and evolve over you know, the next few months as well. And this energy will have its apex also later. And we want to have success at our endeavors. So this is why I give you this little insights, which are, they're always useful, but at this time more than usual, you know. So this is kind of what I wanted to jump here and tell you all these things. And I will see you very soon with the next the next half of the month, and maybe other important configurations that will be playing out really big in the years to come, which is the Neptune, Pluto, Uranus, little trine, little triangle. So that will be pushing us forward into a very different, maybe kind of world that we're creating, and they're starting to gel. But I'll tell you more about that later. For now, let's breathe again one more time. Let's practice, and thank you very much. I love you. See you in the next video.